From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30 on WRTV, getting a call threatening to turn off your utilities as winter sets in can be scary. We've got what you need to know to keep your water on.
Topping our lineup, hundreds of doses of antibody therapies approved for treating COVID are not getting used, and we're getting answers on why. And struggling businesses will soon be getting more money from the government, but there are new rules to make sure the money goes to those who really need it. And after everything we've been through in 2020, it may be hard to think about making those typical resolutions for next year. What some psychologists say we should be focusing on instead.
Headlines from central Indiana now at 5:30. The manhunt is over after Terre Haute police say the man accused in a Christmas Day murder has turned himself in. Philip Adderson turned himself into authorities in Johnson County and was then transported to the Vigo County Jail. Adderson is accused of killing 38-year-old Sarah Henderson of Terre Haute. Her body was found in a storage unit on Friday. Adderson was said to be living in the storage unit with Henderson. New numbers this week indicate flu activity in the Hoosier State remains low. The state health department reports just 1% of patients visiting area health facilities report flu-like illness. So far this season, 2 people in Indiana have died from the flu. Both individuals have been at least 50 years old. We've talked to experts recently who have confirmed social distancing, masks, and better hygiene may be leading to lower flu numbers. During this uncertain pandemic year, it's tough to know what's real. Right now, our consumer reporter John Matarese has a warning about a phone scam that some people are falling for, so you don't waste your money.
A new warning from power companies around the country about frightening phone calls claiming your electricity is about to be shut off.
Northern Kentucky Inspections.
Lisa Shook manages a home inspection company. She just got a call from someone claiming to be their electric company.
He said he was Duke Energy and that he was in the driveway to cut off our services.
She handed the phone to owner Rob Wells, who was told he was behind on his bill and would be cut off if he didn't pay immediately.
Yeah, it's $350-something they were going to disconnect the electric.
So this expert who normally inspects houses inspected his records and realized he was not behind. But it may have been too late. Someone emptied his debit card a short time later.
Everything got hacked. My credit cards, even my personal card.
But it's all a scam. Just like with all good scams, the caller makes it sound urgent, where if you don't pay them right now, your electric is going off. It's a call more and more people are getting. Last summer, it even targeted Donald Kincaid at this church.
The gas and electric would be cut off within about a half an hour because the bill hadn't been paid.
Lee Friedman says utilities will never threaten immediate disconnection.
If you're at risk of losing service, you will receive multiple messages over an extended period of time, bills, phone calls.
These callers will scam any home they can, even the Lord's house. Remember, the power company will never demand immediate payment by gift card, money order, or Western Union, so don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
We may have those gray skies out across central Indiana, but now those city lights coming up and brightening things just a little bit for us. We've got temperatures in the 30s. It's 33 downtown in Indy, 34 in Bloomington, and 32 in the Kokomo area. Don't really expect these numbers to move too much because we've got those clouds and also the south to east breeze around 10 to 15 miles per hour. It does make it feel a little bit colder out there, though, sending those wind chills into the 20s for us. Again, things are a little more bark than bite here on radar. May see a few flurries, brief snow shower in western and northern portions of central Indiana, but we're not going to see any accumulation out of that. Most of it's just the cloudy skies. Temperatures that will actually start to come up just a little bit here as we go through the evening hours, and by tomorrow morning, we will be well above freezing. So as that precipitation moves in, do think it will be all rain for us in the lower 40s already at 7 a.m., mid 40s at 10. So temperatures warm tomorrow, but we've got another cool down for the holiday coming up in just a few minutes. Chris?
Well, the woman you see on your screen right now was the first ever person to get the COVID vaccine by Pfizer, and now she's received the second dose. This picture is from when she first received it. Margaret Keenan lives in England. She is 91 years old. She just received the booster injection today, 2 weeks after getting the first one at University Hospital in Coventry. Now, here in the States, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has received the COVID vaccine. She received the first dose by Moderna today at United Medical Center in Washington, D.C. Her husband also got the vaccine. President-elect Joe Biden received the first dose last week. Now, the goal is to vaccinate 20 million people in the United States by the end of this month. That's just 2 days left to meet that deadline. The odds of doing that, they aren't looking great. Numbers from the CDC show just over 11 million doses have been distributed so far. Only 2 million have actually been administered. While Dr. Anthony Fauci recognizes that we're not close to where we should be, he is optimistic about what will happen next year.
I believe that as we get into January, we are going to see an increase in the momentum, which, Jim, I hope allows us to catch up to the projected pace that we had spoken about a month or two ago when we were talking about the planned rollout of the vaccinations.
Once priority groups get vaccinated, the general public will have the opportunity to get the shot. However, one doctor and pandemic response expert says he's frustrated over how the United States has handled vaccinations. In a tweet, Dr. Ashish Jha cited the different numbers and deadlines that American leaders had announced before the vaccines came out. Then he says, quote, "The worst part is no real planning on what happens when vaccines arrive in states." Ultimately, he is hopeful about the funding Congress approved for vaccine distribution. Dr. Fauci also hopeful.
But when you get to the point where you can essentially say anybody and everybody who wants to be vaccinated can be vaccinated, that's when you really turn around the dynamics of the outbreak. And we hope as we get into January, February, March, and into April, we'll finally be there.
Doctors at the American Public Health Association are optimistic. They tell CNN the vaccine rollout has gone reasonably well and hope the incoming Biden administration will start seeing accurate numbers on vaccinations. All right, still ahead in our lineup, antibody therapies approved for treating COVID are not getting used, and we're getting answers on why.
Only at Mattress Firm.
This is the news at 5:30 on WRTV, and right now we're checking in on coronavirus activity in Indiana schools. On the positive cases in our state, more than 27,000 are being reported in schools. Those numbers come from the 1,886 schools which have reported at least one positive case. That's an average of about 14 cases per school that's reporting cases. And by the way, since the school reporting system is voluntary, 307 schools have not reported their COVID-19 cases to the State Department of Health, and 175 schools have reported no cases at all.
Antibody therapies for coronavirus are approved for emergency use, yet hundreds of thousands of doses are sitting around unused. It is happening due to a variety of reasons. First, some infectious disease doctors have been hesitant about using these treatments. They're calling for more clinical trial data before they use them. And the NIH and Infectious Disease Society of America have said that there is not enough data to recommend either treatment. It suggested if someone is considering either antibody drug, that they should ask their doctor about a clinical trial.
You may or may not get the agent, but at least it will give us data as to whether these agents actually work for you and for others.
Others have said that COVID patients are not making it into the hospital during the first week of illness, which is when the antibody treatments work best. Administering the treatments can also be difficult because it needs to be done in an IV center.
We have a place where we could do it that would be safe for providers and for patients, but we just can't get the staffing or haven't been able to get it up and running to date.
Now, there's also confusion about costs. Doses are free thanks to a deal between drug manufacturers and the federal government, but depending on insurance coverage, patients may still have to pay for having the drug administered. Now, there's also been an issue with supply. According to Health and Human Services, there are more than 530,000 doses available, but only a little over half have been shipped to hospitals, and only about 5 to 20% of those doses have actually been used. Now, still ahead in the lineup, more Paycheck Protection Program loans are coming for businesses, but there's a bit of apprehension after how things went last time. We're taking a look at how applicants will have to prove that they need the money before the government says it will cut a check. Part of the new $900 billion stimulus package will be given to the performing arts. The Save Our Stages Act will receive $15 billion, and that money will go to paying for live venues, independent movie theaters, and Broadway theaters. For the last 9 months, many performers have been without a job. And now there's an immersive experience that is giving some a chance to get back to work, and it allows you to enjoy some at-home live interactive entertainment for just $35. Lindsay Boach takes us inside the secret library.
With live theaters empty and theme parks laying off employees, Todd Zimmerman knew he would have to come up with something creative to keep his theater business alive through the pandemic.
We actually sat our employees down and said, listen, we want to take our performance virtual.
Todd and his wife are the founders of Auto Tease Entertainment, a performance-based company in Central Florida.
When the pandemic started, we were hit pretty hard as an industry, and live performance effectively dried up. So this was a program that we put together with some of our employees that allowed them to continue to do what they love.
And that program, The Secret Library, an interactive escape room style game that you can play with family and friends all around the world on your computer. Todd shared this video of the game to give you an inside look as to how it all plays out. The show starts with an introduction into the game by the characters.
They're going to guide you through the experience.
The performers come from a variety of backgrounds. They're musicians, improv performers, theme park characters, Shakespearean-trained actors, and they each have a certain role in the game.
There are multiple rooms in our virtual mansion that you get to explore with your friends, with your family, other participants. And in those rooms is where you're going to meet the characters. It's where some of the clues are laid out.
There are about 30 performers within the Secret Library project. That's 30 people who are working on Broadway, in theme parks, on cruise ships, who now have a place to perform.
We live for this. We live for the chance to perform, right? It's not just a paycheck. It really is something that fills our soul, and we hope that we're doing for the same for you.
And the mystery of the Secret Library, well, that's just something you'll have to find out for yourself. I'm Lindsay Boach reporting.
Lindsay, thank you. Now, B12, it's a vitamin we all need, but we may not necessarily know much about it. Researchers at the University of Oxford say between 5 and 20% of all people have a B12 deficiency, but we may not know that because the symptoms can be mistaken for other conditions.
You would probably have a harder time losing weight or managing your appetite. You might feel sluggish and then in turn feel that, oh, I need some energy, I need a meal, I need some water, and it just might be hard to kind of break that cycle of feeling sluggish.
B12 deficiency is more common among people who have malabsorption issues or may have had digestive or bariatric surgery. Now, for vegans, it may be even more difficult to consume B12 because it is mostly in animal products, but can be found in meat alternatives, cereals, and fermented foods like kimchi and kombucha. B12 injections can also help your body absorb it better.
Homeowners concerned with 5G structures in their neighborhoods may soon get help from a state lawmaker. Homeowners have expressed potential health concerns from 5G and impact to their property values. It's an issue WRTV Investigates Kara Kenny has been looking into. Senator J.D. Ford plans to file a bill in the days addressing the placement of 5G structures.
Well, it is 5:48 here. That sun is setting under that deck of cloud cover, but at least it's brightening things up just a little bit here as that sun goes down. We've got temperatures that are certainly chilly, not bad though here for the end of December. As everywhere you look, we sit in the middle 30s. We look back to the west, there's more cold air, but you also notice it's starting to warm up here a little bit as we get into southwestern portions of Missouri, and we are going to tap into some of that slightly warmer air here at least for a day. As we check out temperatures tonight, 32 for the low in the city, but I think these numbers will actually be coming up during the overnight, and by tomorrow morning we'll be in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees for you. 41 here at 7 a.m. and we'll get close to 50 for that afternoon high. You also notice though that throughout the day we are going to have that chance for rain and a pretty good soaking of rain. 7:30 in the morning across the northwest half of the state. We get to your lunchtime, gonna need that umbrella out there. It's gonna be a little breezy as well. We'll have some wind gusts around 30 miles per hour, and that rain that will add up to about a ½ inch to an inch of wet weather for us by 5 o'clock in the evening. Still a little wet there across the southeast half of the state for that evening drive. And there's a look at those models, generally coming in about a ½ to an inch of rainfall coming our way here as we go throughout our Wednesday. Thursday, dry, chilly again at 36, and then we'll warm it up. Late day high of 55 with rain widespread on Friday. Cooler for the first weekend of the new year. Chris?
The Boeing 737 MAX plane is flying American passengers today for the first time in almost 2 years. American Airlines is using the jet on a round-trip flight from Miami to New York. The 737 had been grounded after 2 crashes that killed 346 people. Last month, the FAA approved changes Boeing made to the jet United and Southwest also have 737 MAX jets. Neither of them, though, have added the plane to their schedule as of yet. Now, an American Airlines memo says previously furloughed pilots will be paid through this new stimulus bill. Now, they don't actually need to show up for work. The memo says only about 60 of the more than 1,200 pilots it furloughed will return to flying in the near future. Stimulus gives airlines and contractors $16 billion for worker payroll support, and it bans any new furloughs until March 31st. Well, many small businesses have lost lawsuits against their insurers refusing payments. Hundreds have sued property insurance companies that denied business interruption claims during the pandemic. Out of about 100 rulings in these suits, roughly 3/4 have been in favor of the insurer. They've argued that their policies either have clear language excluding virus-related claims or say the claim does not meet their policy's criteria. Now, the government plans to be a little more careful this time around as it hands out money to struggling small businesses. The process is changing for the Paycheck Protection Program. Alicia Nieves shows us what's different to ensure these federal dollars go to small businesses who can prove they need the money.
I always had a dream of starting an urban farm.
Timothy Smith has spent the last few years working toward that dream, finally transitioning from being a teacher to an urban farmer last year.
By October of 2019, we had a mayor's ribbon cutting with Mayor Marty Walsh.
We Grow Microgreens was off to a great start. The new neighborhood greenhouse had quick demand for its more aromatic and nutrient-packed vegetables. A half dozen part-time workers were hired, with plans to make them full-time soon. But the pandemic hit, and the impact was instant.
We had a number of loyal customers that would continue to purchase at farmers markets. That being said, a large percentage of our customers were restaurants. We lost a lot of that business.
The Boston-based small business applied for a PPP loan under the CARES Act and was surprised to only get approved for $810. Even more surprised to see large businesses getting millions. In fact, data released by the Small Business Administration shows more than $250 billion went to larger than intended businesses.
I just hope that in the next round, they really consider some of the upstarts like us and some of the very small businesses that also need to survive.
Well, I'm optimistic that this money will get out relatively soon and much more to companies that really need it than the last time.
Todd McCracken is with the National Small Business Association and says the latest round of PPP loans has new provisions that do aim to ensure the money actually goes to more small businesses like We Grow Microgreens. For example, a business has to prove a drop in revenue in one quarter of 2020, ensuring struggling businesses only get this money and get it first. There's a provision that a business with more than 300 employees no longer qualifies for the forgivable loans, one where the government has lowered the maximum loan amount to $2 million, and a new rule that larger chains no longer qualify for PPP money.
The other thing they've done that we're not sure how it's going to play out is they've done set-asides for small companies. So there's a pool of money specifically for companies with fewer than 10 employees that only they can tap.
If new provisions work as intended, small businesses like this urban farm to millions more around the country can rehire workers, move part-timers to full-time, and help employees who have also struggled through this pandemic. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Alicia, thank you. Now, finally in our lineup, after everything we've been through this year, it may be hard to think about resolutions for 2021. So we go to the psychologists to see what they have to say about what we should be focusing on instead. 2021 is right around the corner, and many will be thinking about New Year's resolutions. After a hard year, an expert tells us you might want to focus on reflecting more on what made you happy and the small changes that could make you feel even better.
In the process of paying more attention and being more aware, we might actually come upon or notice things in our lives that we hadn't noticed that actually are already pretty positive or good or enjoyable that we might be missing when we're in autopilot.
Sophie Lazarus is a clinical psychologist, and she says that these small changes Could be as simple as just staying off your phone while on a walk, or taking in your surroundings, or limiting distractions while you enjoy a meal. Now, big lifestyle changes, like, of course, the starting a new exercise routine, let's face it, that can require a lot of energy. So many people have been more stressed this year, and Lazarus says it's just extra important to go easier on yourself when you are thinking about resolutions.
When we're hard on ourselves, when we are unkind, we feel bad, and that doesn't motivate us often, right? When we're feeling bad, when we're feeling discouraged, that's not when we want to persist.
Now, as Lazarus points out, in general, people don't usually keep big New Year's resolutions. Those smaller changes in mindset or daily activities can be easier to manage and still give you a sense of accomplishment. A new treatment for people suffering from PTSD and severe nightmares is emerging, and it's done without medication.
Finally, I just got to the point, I'm like, I can't go like this. I can't go with 2-3 hours sleeping after 3 months.
Tomorrow, how the treatment works with a smartwatch and who it's available to right now.
Temperatures going to fare a little bit better tomorrow as we'll climb well into the 40s, but it does come with some rain and breezy conditions for us. Then we cool down here on New Year's Eve. Looks like it'll be on the dry side as we go toward midnight, and then we'll see more rain moving in here for New Year's Day. A high temperature in the middle 50s before those temperatures drop a little bit here going into the weekend. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5:30. The news at 6 o'clock starts.